Black Americans boycotting African-owned businesses in America. Fear of being African, FBA. August 1st, 2025, looms as a day marked not by celebration, but by division. A day when some Black Americans plan to boycott African-owned businesses in America. Before we dive into this painful conversation, I speak as someone who has lived on both continents and been deeply connected to both communities. Now let's agree on one truth. This rift, this so-called beef between the great Africans and the great Black Americans is not the story of the entire communities. It's a conflict stoked by a few, largely confined to the United States, in fact. In Africa, people are completely unaware there's even a beef or any type of tensions. The average African back home doesn't sit and talk about Black Americans. In truth, the only time most Africans encounter Black American culture is through Hollywood films, sports like basketball and boxing or hip-hop music. They dance to it, they love it, they admire it. That's the extent of the interaction. The admiration from afar, nothing more. Even though Africans leave in peace with the white immigrants or visitors in Africa, Africans leave their homelands, bracing for the racism they've seen in media, rooted in the brutal history of white colonialism. They come prepared to face hostility from white America, expecting challenges but holding on to dreams of opportunity. What they don't expect, what cuts them to the core, is the cold shoulder from the very people they've long seen as kin, their role models, their long-lost family. The hostility from Black Americans, the people they thought would embrace them with open arms, hits like a betrayal they never saw coming. Suddenly, they're not just black in a white land, they're foreigners, caught in a web of unexpected rejection. It shocks them the most, and often wounds them the deepest. That is when they feel the full sting of a hostility they never even knew existed. The beef is a uniquely American phenomenon, rooted in historical trauma and perpetuated by cultural misunderstandings. It's a tragedy born of a shared history of suffering, manipulated to keep two communities, bound by blood and heritage, at odds. But where does this pain stem from? Could it be the result of a manipulated history? Let's delve into the roots. The transatlantic slave trade, one of the most horrific chapters in human history, forcibly displaced over 12 million Africans to the Americas between the 16th and 19th centuries. A pervasive narrative, often amplified in Western education systems, suggests that African kings and leaders willingly sold their own people into slavery, conspiring with European colonists for personal gain. That they were sold into slavery by their own African ancestors. This version of history has been told repeatedly, in books, in schools, and sadly, in political rhetoric. It has been used to turn victims against victims. This oversimplification has fueled resentment among some Black Americans who feel betrayed by their ancestral homeland. However, the truth is far more nuanced and demands a closer look. Africans, on the other hand, carry no guilt or remorse because they know the full story, or rather, they don't know the narrative of blame that festers in America. They're unaware that a community holds centuries-old grudges against them. The truth is far more complex and demands we turn every stone. This story is incomplete and often portrayed on a one-sided narrative. While it's true that some African leaders participated in the slave trade, often under duress or in exchange for goods like guns, cloth, or alcohol, many African kings and communities fiercely resisted European slavers. For example, Nzinga Mbande, or Queen Njinga of Ndongo and Matamba, modern-day Angola, was a formidable opponent of the Portuguese slave trade. After her kingdom faced relentless attacks, she fled, established the kingdom of Matamba, and provided sanctuary for runaway slaves. She allied with the Dutch and rival African states to reclaim parts of Dongo, fighting the Portuguese until a peace treaty was signed in 1656. Her resistance made her a symbol of defiance, commemorated by a statue in Luanda in 2002. Another prominent figure was Nzinga Mbemba Afonso, the Manikongo of the Congo Kingdom, modern-day Angola and Democratic Republic of Congo. In the early 16th century, he wrote a series of letters to King João III of Portugal, passionately pleading for an end to the slave trade. He described how Portuguese merchants were destabilizing his kingdom by kidnapping his subjects, including nobles, and fueling internal conflict with their goods. His letters, preserved as historical documents, reveal a leader desperate to protect his people from the ravages of European greed. This is only the beginning of a much bigger conversation. There's more truth to uncover. Watch part 2.
When it's time to give kudos, that's what I'm gonna do. So shout out to this African woman for giving praise to FBA and thanking us and saying that we have the right to be angry at what's going on right now.
Us immigrants, not all of us, but a lot of us, seem to forget, or maybe they just don't know. But if you have been living in this country long enough, you should know that. The reason why we're here, the reason why we are allowed to be here, is because of the work Black Americans did. Because of the sacrifices they did. Because all the fights they had to fight in order for us, for them, because they didn't do it for us, they did it for themselves, and it's right. But today we are enjoying the fruit of their labor. And we should not forget that. I'm an immigrant. And yes, in my community, or in an immigrant community, and nobody can say otherwise, is a lot of disrespect for African American. It's a lot of it. I have heard it. And I have to admit that when I first came, I was also ignorant of their history. But after being in this country, for the amount of time I have been here, if I act like I don't know that, it means that I'm willingly demeaning them. They are mad. And you know what immigrants should do right now? We should not be arguing with them. We should be quiet and listen. Listen to what they're saying. Listen. No. It is not about us. It's about how they feel. It's about the experience. And guys, they are right. Many immigrant community call them lazy. They're not lazy. They even say they don't have a culture, and that's an insult. Of course they have a culture. Of course they do. In the music, in the food, in the way they live their life, in the way they dress, they have a culture. And by the way, a culture that is a leader in many ways. Our children in Africa dress like Black children. Children in Asia dress like Black children. Children in Latin America, in Europe. So please stop saying. And it's not only limited to clothing. It's in music, it's in history, it's in literature, it's in science. The immigrant community need to stop demeaning and disrespecting Black American. They are mad, and they have all the right to be mad. Now, if my immigrant community or my African community want to come after me for what I say, that is on you. I don't care. Because the truth is the truth. And we need to admit where we're coming short. You're going to come to people's house and you want to look down at them? You want to disrespect them? Yes, not all Africans. Yes, not all Latino. Yes, not all blah, blah, blah. Or Asian blah, blah, blah. But enough to make a lot of noise. But enough for them to be mad. Rightfully so. We need to be quiet now and listen to what they have to tell us. No doubting the experience. No undermining the experience. No forgetting the accomplishments. We need to stop that. We need to stop, particularly the African community. You want to say they are our brother and sister and this is how you're treating them? Not everybody, but a lot of us do. We look down. We criticize them. We do it and we should not deny it. As a community, we do it. And we need to stop. Unity would be great. We all want unity. But unity without respect is impossible. Unity without recognizing the accomplishment.
So let me get this right. You guys want to go and boycott African stores, African restaurants, braiding shops, because you half read a post, not even a post, an article that you didn't read. And I know you didn't read it. We're going to get into that. But you half read an article that said that Africa plans to tap into the $1.2 trillion spending power of Black Americans. And you take that as Africa's trying to take our money. But you're not going to boycott McDonald's. You're not going to boycott Walmart, which are always in the hood. You're not going to boycott Gucci. You're not going to boycott Hennessy. All these things that are literally taking our money. I wouldn't even say taking. You're spending your money with, and they're not putting back into the economy of the Black people. But let's get a little quick understanding of what Africa's plans are. So let's just read it. Several reports indicate a plan to leverage the significant spending power of African Americans, estimate at over 1.2 trillion to boost the African economy. And y'all want to stop there, but let's keep going. This initiative involves tapping into the diaspora's financial resources and entrepreneurial spirit through various investment summits and engagement strategies. The goal is to channel a portion of this spending power towards development projects and businesses in Africa, fostering economic growth and strengthening the ties between the continent and its diaspora. They're literally trying to keep us engaged with themselves, making it a world economy. But anyway, more detail. The 1.2 trillion figure, this refers to the collective spending power of African Americans, a significant economic force, according to Niall Celine. I don't know what that is, to be honest. Focus on diaspora engagement. African leaders and organizations are increasingly recognizing the potential of the African diaspora, particularly in the USA, as a key source of investment and development capital. Allow me to break that down. They are understanding that we spend a lot of money, and they are saying that if we, meaning them and us, spend together and build together, we will be strong. I don't think y'all realize what this is about. I don't think y'all realize what colonialism did. Africa went through colonialism. Y'all always like to say, why didn't Africans come and get us if we from Africa? Because they were dealing with colonialism. They were dealing with empirical forces taking over their resources, and they had a fight just like we had a fight against the same people. So we had a fight. And now that countries in Africa are gaining their independence, they're saying, hold up, it's not just about us, it's about us. Continental Africans and diasporic Africans. I know y'all don't want to be Africans, but we are. And they are saying if we, Africa and diaspora Africas, come together and build, we will be strong and we can repair what has been taken from us. I know y'all have low comprehension. I know that y'all have all this idea that you're American more than you're African. I know Europeans have done a number on our mentality. But what you're doing is insane. It's flat out insane. Here are people that are saying, hey, let's unify and build, and y'all went and just looked at the thing and said, nope, not us. Y'all ain't taking from us. I'd rather give it to the white man. Y'all are insane. Y'all are insane. This is crazy. If you are boycotting African shops and you're not boycotting European shops, you are flat out insane. I'm not, that's the only way I can say it. All this pretending bullshit, all this FBA bullshit, y'all are just flat out insane. Y'all are just flat out agents of European design. I'm not with it. I'm gonna go get my hair braided from the African shop this weekend. I'm not with it. I'm not with it. I'm not with canceling out someone that looks like me. I'm not with canceling out somebody that has gone through the same craziness that we've gone through, just in a different way. I'm not with it. So why don't y'all be quiet? Why don't y'all be quiet? Because our movement don't need y'all. We don't need ignorance. If y'all aren't going to educate, read a whole dang article before you move, what movement are you doing? You're moving on bullshit. Y'all are crazy. Y'all are flat out insane. Big ashe, to that.
If you're not black, just keep scrolling. This video is for my African Americans and African brothers and sisters. Specifically for us, I am so confused. Why am I seeing that on August 1st, African Americans or a specific African American has forged a protest against African businesses, from African restaurants, African braiding salons, anything that is African owned? They have started a campaign that on August 1st, we as Black Americans will be boycotting these businesses. What the fuck is wrong with us? What is wrong with us just as a people, as Black Americans, African Americans? What the fuck is wrong with us that it makes sense to boycott African businesses because you may have had a bad experience with a African business? You've also had a bad experience with an Asian business. You've had a bad experience with a white business. You've had a bad experience with an Hispanic business, and so on and so forth. Where's the energy for those businesses that continuously come into our communities and disrespect us? But you want to start a war, a beef, continue a beef with Africans? Like, make it make sense. We are all one. Sure, we can distinguish ourselves as African American or African, but they look at us all the same. They don't look at an African and say, oh, you're African. They don't look at me as an African American and say, oh, she's an African American. No, she's a nigga. They all the same. So what sense does it make that we are boycotting our own people? Sometimes we can really be our own worst enemy. They don't even need to do anything to divide us. There's nothing more that they need to do. We can complete the mission ourselves. The self-hate, because that's what it is. It's self-hate. There is no way. I don't even know how this thing even got legs. How did this even get legs? You got people agreeing with it, like, yeah, when I go into the hair braiding shop, that's why Black women ain't got edges, and that's why Black women got bald spots or losing hair, because they braid so tight. What? That's the reason why you're boycotting them? Because you made a choice to let somebody braid your hair a certain way and you didn't get the desired results? So that's justification to boycott an entire community of people? Like, y'all dumb. I say it all the time to my friends and family. The majority of people are fucking stupid. And I mean that with my whole entire chest. Y'all are some dumb, ignorant ass people. Because this don't make no goddamn sense. How you boycott your own people when you got people, other races, other communities that have done far worse to us than we do to each other? But you want to sit here and boycott your own people. I don't even have no more words because I'm really going to go off and get to cursing on here, and I don't need to be doing all that. Y'all need to grow up and do better. Matter of fact, let's make August 1st, you do go to an African business. If there's an African beauty supply, if there's an African, I don't know, corner store, whatever kind of business it is out there that an African may have, go ahead and make sure y'all frequent it on August 1st. Let's counteract this ignorance, because this is fucking stupid. So goddamn dumb.
Respectfully, and most importantly, personally, I will not be boycotting all African businesses. I will not be participating in that boycott. I personally do not see the sense in it. And let me tell you why. All right, so when the situation first hit my timeline, it first hit my For You page, I needed all the details. I needed to figure out what exactly is going on. Why is there being a massive notification being pushed out to boycott all African businesses? Like, what's tea? And then after actually doing the research and figuring out what was going on, you mean to tell me that one customer, a Black woman, right, just so happened to receive bad customer service from a service provider who was a hair braider that is of African descent, right? And now decided because of that personal experience that she was going to basically ignite in a mass nationwide boycott of all African businesses. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to any of you guys? In all honesty, one isolated situation, one isolated event that I'm not saying is not uncommon. We've all dealt with very money hungry service providers that do not care about quality. They do not care about customer service. We've all been there before, but you just don't go back to that particular person. You don't give money to that particular person. But to now enlist an entire boycott of all African businesses, do you know how many mouths you're going to be stopping from being able to get fed? Do you know how many bills you're going to now be helping pile up? A lot of small business owners, all because of one incident where you didn't feel respected by this particular service provider. And now you want us to basically boycott all service providers from this continent, because it's not a country, it's a continent. You want us all to boycott every business that just so happens to be in connection to the continent of Africa. That makes sense? Because if that was the case, when that Chinese American shot and killed that black girl, accusing her of stealing, and she wasn't stealing, there wouldn't be as many Asian businesses flourishing in America if y'all were all on that type of timing. If all it took was one isolated incident, right, for there to be a mass boycotting, Asians should not be the leaders in beauty store supply chains and whatnot. They shouldn't be number one. They shouldn't have as many nail shops. You understand? Do you know how many times I've actually gone online and booked to get my hair done by a black American stylist and was so underwhelmed by the quality of customer service? When I'm talking about rude, y'all want deposits. We give the deposits. You guys complain about it too. So it's not a thing about ethnicity or nationality. It's just there are some shitty service providers out there that are literally just doing it for a check, and we know that. I would have been all for it if you stated, and I'm talking specifically to that customer who started this all, if you wanted to be like, do not come to this particular location, don't go there, they're X, Y, and Z. Yeah, go ahead, boycott them, because if they don't care about their customer service, they shouldn't be in customer service fields. They shouldn't be over here providing services if they fail in that area. You understand? But for you to take one isolated situation and now compare it to everybody else, that don't make no sense to me. And I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Especially when I'm not, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna just call it out how it is. We're not doing that to the others. And y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Y'all not giving that same energy right now to the others. So let's not do it within our own diaspora, okay? You received bad quality service from one individual. You don't go back to that individual. You do not try to elicit a nationwide boycott on everybody of one certain ethnicity, because you're now affecting a lot of the homes of those, like, for what? That don't make no sense off of one person.
I don't know about your FYP, but lately on my FYP, I have been seeing African Americans saying on the 1st of August, they're going to boycott African businesses because they're not American. I've been seeing a lot of those videos. They believe they're not Africans. Some were even going to the extent of saying they don't have African features. And African Americans, don't come for me, but there's African American behind your, is it tied to your ethnicity, your background, but you don't think you're African. I'm not saying you're African like you were born in Africa. And by the way, Africa is a continent. There's like 54 countries in there. Yeah, just putting it out there. Okay, you guys, obviously, some of you don't know your roots, some of you know your roots. I am so sorry about what happened decades of years ago to you guys, okay? I apologize on behalf of our ancestors. I apologize. But this is the thing. You're African. Sorry to be a bearer of bad news. Yeah, you're African. Like, there's African American behind your identity. Yes, you might know you were not born in Africa like we were born in Africa, but your ancestors were from Africa. I don't know. American school system. What do they teach you? Actually, you know what? Scrap that. The white people have blown all the school off. So I'm trying to like. And then some of the ladies are saying, I don't have, even men as well, I don't have African features. But some of you are traveling to Turkey to get your nose pointed because it looks too African and too... Am I bugging? Am I bugging? I'm not saying don't cancel African businesses. If you want to, by all means, but it's just the fact that you guys, I'm not saying claim African because you're not born there. You were not raised there. You don't know your background. You don't know where, I understand that, but it is still part of your identity. Are you African? Someone like me, yes, I know my background. I know where I've come from. I've come from Nigeria. I was born there. I grew up in England. My citizenship is not by birth. My children, however, their citizenship is by birth because they were born here. But are they going to go around and go, oh, I am British? Yeah, they are British because they were born here, but they're Black British, they're African British. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Am I making sense? African Americans? African Americans? Like, come on, you guys, like, stop. This is becoming ridiculous on this app. Like, come on. We're all this color. If we're this color, maybe different shades of melanin, we are one. Stop this. Stop, Africans.
I just feel like if we're gonna boycott, let's boycott. Stop wearing Nigerian prom dresses done by Nigerians. Stop going to Morocco. Stop getting your henna done. Stop wearing waist beads. Stop wearing Fulani braids. Stop wearing Senegalese braids. Stop wearing head wraps. Stop buying shea butter. Stop listening to Afrobeats and Amapiano. Stop going to Dirty December. Stop eating jollof rice. Who said that? I said it. And the crazy thing is, y'all don't be having half of this energy for Indians, Koreans, Vietnamese, to the white man. And the gag is, we're all still black. We're black as hell at the end of the day. And if you don't want to be called African American, tell the white man to take off African American off the paper and put American.
Y'all so wrong for trying to boycott the African businesses. Y'all are so wrong. What makes you hate somebody that look like you? What makes our people hate somebody that look like them so much? See, this is what they did. Yeah, this is what they did. They made us think that we were separate just because we're from different continents. They made us think we were separate. Y'all not boycotting Gucci. You're not boycotting Lululemon. You're not boycotting none of those big companies. And y'all know they don't want us in their merchandise. Make it make sense, y'all. Make it make sense. Why must we be against each other so much? Make it make sense. Why are we so against each other? From the Africans to the Caribbeans, like all of us are the same people. They fooled us, they tricked us and made us believe that we were separate people. We the same people. Y'all so wrong for trying to boycott these people, man. Make it make sense, dog. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's funny, I rarely get my hair braided, and I just went to the African braiding shop, and here y'all is talk about y'all boycotting these folks. What is we boycotting them for? Please help me understand. Like, I understand that the Black American girls do know how to braid hair and stuff like that, but you can't just walk up in their shop. You gotta buy your own hair. They be charging $300 plus, just all these extra add-on fees. In the African shop, you got two people on your head. It ain't, you know what you're paying for, you know what you're getting. Like, it is what it is. You can get food, you can get up, take a break, whatever. Like, what is we boycotting? And then it's like, y'all boycott everything else. Why the fuck y'all ain't boycott Lululemon? Why the fuck y'all ain't boycott Gucci? Why we not boycotting that? Like, why y'all not boycotting the shit that really need to be boycotted? Like, I don't be understanding it. The brains don't be braining. The thoughts don't be thoughting because boycott who, baby? Do y'all see how neat? Girl.
I missed a couple chapters. Why are we boycotting African businesses? That's crazy work. Why we still got Lululemon up and we boycotting African businesses? Lululemon clearly said they don't like African Americans. That nigga.
And I am not boycotting African braiding shops. I am not boycotting a place that I could walk into, get my hair did the same day. Why would I ever protest against convenience? Okay, that makes absolutely no sense. And who came up with this protest and what made her the spokesperson for everybody? My thing is, if you had a bad experience, you take that out on whoever you had an experience with. You just don't get mad at an entire continent and say we got to boycott all African businesses, because who is we? Okay, don't be speaking to me, because I am not turning my back on no good old African braiding shop. Okay, it's just not happening. I was with y'all when y'all was saying boycott Target. Listen, I stood 10 toes down on that one. Okay, but you're losing me talking about some boycott African business. Listen, Africans ain't never did nothing to me, okay? And this is how I knew y'all really wasn't serious, because y'all talking about something. It started on August the 1st. Listen, honey, why it gotta be August the 1st and not today? If you really that mad at somebody, why not start today? Like, it's given that you got an upcoming appointment and it's just a conflict of schedule.
On August 1st, all black people should boycott African businesses in America. Boycott all the braiding shops, all the restaurants, all the stores, the whole hood, black church. Shit, boycott yourself. On the serious note, first of all, my African brothers and sisters, continental Africans, please do not disrespect 99.9% of our African American brothers and sisters who do not partake in the madness of division that you see on the internet these days, especially this whole bullshit about August 1st. You know, when you start picking a fight with your true enemies and you start picking a fight with your own brothers and sisters, it is a sign of despair. It's a sign that your brain cells are no longer functioning. It is, you've gone berserk. Dear black people, we don't have time to be fighting each other, right? Especially now because of the 1% among us who don't have any functioning brain cells. Literally, those who are still struggling from that old trauma, those who have been emotionally damaged, those whose identity crisis is so bad we cannot even quantify it. See, this whole nonsense started with a bunch of black African Americans claiming that, oh, we're not African, we don't come from Africa. Well, shit, we thought that was crazy. Now they're talking about boycotting African businesses? How the hell are you gonna boycott African businesses? You don't know Afrobeat is a type of African product, and literally black music, rap, and everything that's black is inspired by the African in you, that you can't escape it? You know what? Let's not dwell too much on division, y'all, because the division is not worth it. So when they're done doing their August 1st boycotting, join me on September 16th for an International Day of Black on Black Reconciliation, a black-invented, black-made holy day, a day of forgiveness, a day of reconciliation, a day when black people put aside all the stupid beef that keeps us separated and actually break bread with each other and hear each other out without judging and condemning each other. If you guys are so eager to go and watch all those videos that promote division, like this video, share this video, and promote the idea of reconciliation, okay? There's a lot of work to be done. Literally, our Caucasian brothers and sisters, our Indian brothers and sisters, our Asian brothers and sisters are busily building AI, and we're over here talking about boycotting braiding stores. Don't you know that if only one among us is strong, then we are all strong as long as we're on the same page? Why does it matter where black money goes? If black money goes to Africa, it's still black people's. If it goes to black Americans, it's still black people. If it goes to black Caribbeans, it's still black people. When are we going to have this united identity within the black diaspora like we see the Jews having? Do you see how strong and powerful the Jewish diaspora is? With all their differences that they have among themselves, they stay united. One thing they don't do is they don't boycott their businesses. And it's by investing in each other that they have the type of power and influence that they have on the global stage. When are we going to learn? When are we going to get up and stop blaming other people for our problems to the point where we now blame each other? You know the one kid that went to school and got his ass beat by the bullies and then he came home and took it out on his little brothers or took it out on his family? Yeah, that's what you guys are acting at. That 1% of the black African American community who doesn't think you're African, who thinks that African Americans should boycott African businesses, who think that Africans are trying to take away your reparations. I mean, how slow could you be, my brother? Brothers and sisters, forget the whole boycotting thing. Let's focus on reconciliation. Black on black reconciliation, okay? This is a great opportunity. Now that this thing is going viral, let's promote the idea of a black holiday, September 16th, okay? I'm going to be making more videos on this subject to elaborate on what I mean by September 16th. It's precisely to solve this type of divisions. And do not underestimate the power of social media, okay? All these videos you see around are putting ideas in the minds of young people. Anyone can get a phone and click on TikTok. You don't know what your black son or your black daughter is seeing on TikTok. If they go and see this toxic, divisive nonsense, we're already struggling. The gangs in the hood are trying to find a way to stop killing each other. Black businesses, black people, we're trying to find ways to stop betraying each other. So we don't have time for this negativity. And I see a lot of people criticizing it. Good job. But please don't disrespect the good African Americans, the good Africans, when you are condemning the raccoons, those who used to wear the master's old underwears, those who used to get to sleep in the master's house while the rest of them were out in the field picking cotton, those who were always carrying the master's umbrella while the rest of us were busily being put on boats or used as labor in Africa. We've all
August 1st is African Americans Go Find an African Business and Buy Something Day. Yeah, August 1st is African Americans Go Find a African restaurant, African hair salon, African grocery store, and go buy some shit. Even if it's a pack of gum, go buy some shit. We're going to show these dumbass FBA ADOs, xenophobic, hateful, weak link ass Negroes that we don't subscribe to their hate. Nah, we not going backwards. We know y'all some goddamn white supremacists and blackface psyops, and we ain't going down like that. So August 1st is African Americans. Go show some love to your Africans. Go find a damn business, buy a pack of gum, buy some cocoa bread or some shit, buy some jerk chicken, go to the Caribbean joint, go buy something black, go buy something African. Anyways, black love always, August 1st.
What is going on with Africans between African Americans?
None of your business. In other words, black folk business is black folk business. To make it simpler, don't worry about the drama happening in a certain community that you're not a part of. We as black people, especially Afro-Americans, have been addressing the diaspora wars happening within our community, and that's for us to mitigate. And even if you're just genuinely curious, you asking that question is lighting a fire that we're already trying to extinguish. There are white people in the United Kingdom who don't care for white people in the United States. Inquire about that. There are people in France that don't like the way people in Canada speak French. Inquire about that. Across the world in different diasporas, there are many differences that groups have that stem from misunderstandings, but that's for those groups to figure out. And contrary to popular belief, there are a lot of Africans that don't have a problem with African Americans and vice versa, so don't generalize. And that's coming from an African American who's actually been to Africa, hence the shirt. So if it's not your community, don't worry about it.